Hello. And welcome. Welcome to a very exciting stream for me. This is something completely different. We haven't done a visual novel in a hot minute. Not since Phoenix Wright. But this visual novel is very special to me. As I had a small part, in the game itself. I should probably start with a foreword that I have not, like, played any of this yet for myself, so this is still a first playthrough for me. And you will not see me for a while. It'll take me a long time to get there. So far, this game is still technically in beta. I believe there will be 4 chapters total and an epilogue, but as of right now, only 3 chapters are released. And I know very little other than what I was given for my part in it. So I'm very excited because I really like the concept and the art and everything that I've seen so far. It looks really fun. And I love visual novels, especially like a really creative setting like this one has, so I'm super excited. Hi guys, hi nerd, hi Graham, hi, and welcome. Also, I am in love with what I've seen of the main character so far. He is adorable. But yeah, definitely check this out for yourselves, and I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. I'm super excited. Yeah.
Holy horns! What's up with this place? It's ancient. Are you sure we're allowed to be here?
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I guess I will be doing some dialogue as far as the narrator is unvoiced. Might get coffee at 8:30 in the night. Coffee does nothing for me, man. I can drink it anytime. You're allowed to be anywhere as long as no one finds you. Sneaking through forgotten cracks in a wall is not as easy as it once was, but I still managed to push my hat and my staff in somehow without wrecking the wall any further. Today's a mess, and the last thing I'd want is the whole city knowing that I'm back on my nonsense. Back on my bullshit. Namely, helping fawns trespass into abandoned temples in pursuit of fixing the written lies that pass as history these days. I'm too old for this rubbish. I catch a glimpse of Lynn's expression as I push my scarf over my face again. My newest headache looked entirely unconvinced by my logic. Also, I love Lynn. She's a little gremlin creature and she's adorable and I love her. Look, we're already here and you're going to need all the help you can get, kid. I don't have time to explain every single little thing to you. I'm so tongue-tied all of a sudden. If said kid still has any qualms left about following me here, she has the rare decency not to voice them. I mean, this whole ordeal is her fault. In a very roundabout sort of way. Still her fault nonetheless. It's anyone's but mine, at least. I didn't come all the way back to the city to do charity for his descendants. I just wanted to find that dumbass's grave and clean up a little. Or leave some incense or something. Not this. I wasn't looking to hear legends about any so-called knights of the upper field. I know the books in this library won't say a word about him, but I had to come back to this place anyway. The unlikely possibility of finding a trace of his existence among the broken tablets and burnt codices was far too compelling to ignore. I like her design. I love all the character designs. The art in this is so good. Everything I see is way up my alley. Here I am, still following in his footsteps. Like the few unlucky scripts that time and thieves spared, frozen in their shelves as they await the return of someone who will understand them. We have a lot in common, this library and I. Lynn. The kid's eyes opened a fraction wider, and I only managed to narrowly avoid the incoming onslaught of questions. Here, ink, paper. You can write, right?
Of course! You're talking to the fastest.
Shut it. As-Kadaz.
Sheesh, you're really adding some flavor to my name, huh? Where did all that salt come from? Or could that be the sweetness of an old flame leaving such a bitter aftertaste?
Ew. No, don't do that. It makes you sound like your mother. I mean, her mother. Or her great-great-great-grandmother? Ugh, I can't believe the story has derailed this much. How long have I been gone?
I can't even start to guess if you won't tell me how old you are.
I like his design too. Like, look at how angry. You can't see the face at all, but like, it's got that like shadowy silhouette, cartoony, angry eye. I love that. I'm entirely too old to care about something as dumb as numbers. Mood.
Well, gee, I'm starting to see why you wanted me here. Do you have a name, or are you too cool for letters too?
My name would only doom this project. You and me and I... Well, you will be me and I... Wait, you will be me and I... Oh, you will be me and I will be nothing more than the space between words. My brain totally short-circuited reading that sentence.
No way to say you want me getting lynched for this.
I can still keep the story to myself and tell you to get lost, kid.
But you won't, because after hearing my name, you realize I'm the chosen gazelle that legend of old prophesied would tell the true story of the night, right? I could use a little encouragement here, not gonna lie.
Listen, Lynn. I don't believe in chosen ones, and I certainly don't know what the truth is. I doubt Ader himself ever knew. But I am going to tell you the story I know. I will tell it once, and I will probably tell it wrong, since I can barely remember it anymore. But even so, anything I say will be 1,000 times more accurate than any of the odes the witless... this witless bunch of fop doodles. That's an amazing fucking descriptor. I've been singing through the ages. I have to remember that one, witless bunch of fop doodles. This may be Ader's punishment for lying his way into history, but I still can't let the name of a friend be smeared like that. So what I mean to say is that I will skewer you if you interrupt me and make me forget something.
Fair.
She finally shuts up for a moment, though I know the silence won't last. Right, good. I guess I should put my own thoughts in order before we begin. His story started back when he left his village to... no, that would be too long. His story starts when he became a knight, and... no, that defeats the point. I guess his story... well, I guess his story starts with me. I could allow myself that much merit, right?
Who are you again?
I'm the one who tells the story. You write. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Chapter 1. The Fickle Queen, or what a better way to start a story than when things are about to go south. Sorry, if there's a lot of like, if there's a lot of plosives and mic puffies, it's because I'm waiting on my new pop filter to come in the mail. I'm trying to make up for it by not speaking directly in the mic. It's not working, sorry.
Hey lad! Do we have to go through this every single
Yeah!
Oh boy. Here we go.
A beast!
There he is! There's the boy! Look how cute he is!
I saw a beast!
Way to call me an eyesore.
I'm telling you, I saw a beast.
Right. Look, I'm not drunk enough for this, so good.
This ain't no time to sleep. The beast may be gone, but the Macadar is still out there. The forest's out there and it's come to find me.
Can you stop screaming like an idiot and use your brain for a second?
I don't know why Jeff sounds so familiar. Like, I've been over the rest of the cast list, and I know that I'm not familiar with anyone else except for Elsie Lovelock. But he sounds so familiar still.
I knew they'd get to the city one day. We gotta tail everyone.
There are no damn trees around, you dimwit!
A long shush followed right after, or that's what we'll go with since the words their dear neighbors used were too colorful to be reproduced.
Oh, then what did you holler for, Mr. Bard? The sun ain't up yet. If you don't quit your whining, we're gonna get a beating.
Says you, the buck who hath been delighting mine ears with his pitiful wailing all night long.
Say what?
You've been talking in your sleep again.
But the beast.
That was no dream, all right. I saw that thing with my own with my one eye. Got its face right in front of mine, and it was looking at me like it wanted to eat me.
Are you sure that wasn't Dana?
Say what?
I mean, she can be very aggressive. I wouldn't be too surprised if one night...
You think Boss is trying to eat me?
Oh, Ader. Oh. Oh.
O fairest in the kingdom, what hast thou seen in this dull head?
Wait. Fair? Fair? Oh, 3.
Don't.
The fair!
I swear to bite that kid, if you keep screaming, I'm going to kill you.
Such an interesting cadence. I don't think I've ever watched a voice visual novel, by the way. It's kind of cool. I like it. I especially like that the narrator is a character, but also is still unvoiced. So there's like there's still a character of like a self-insert, but everyone else's voice is really interesting. I like it.
Not if they get to me first!
And so Ader's heavy hooves stomped the ground with the force of a stampede as he sprinted away, making, I want to say it's Joff. Regret every decision that led him to suffering this torment. The best thing about it being voiced by, like, a cast is that I'll be corrected if I mispronounce someone's name.
Glad we sorted that out.
Wide awake and now running as fast as his clumsy hoofs would let him, Ader set off to the bazaar. A whole year had come and gone since he'd first set foot on the streets of Slander District, the most infamous slums of the capital. A place so heinous that walking there alone at night was considered a suicide attempt. A place where you were in your right to keep a house if you could outlast its previous owner. Where he'd once felt like a poor fawn fearing for his life, he now felt like a poor deer fearing for his life. But at least he actually knew his way around after such a long time avoiding brigands. He had no time to spare worrying about trivial matters such as being robbed or stabbed, for he knew fully well that he was to meet his destiny.
Nature's gonna skin me alive!
A destiny which most likely didn't really include being flayed by his dearest employer. Though we can't rule out the possibility of his direct supervisor whacking him in the head for oversleeping on such an important date.
What if she hates me now? Then Patron won't have no problem kicking me out. He'll kick me out and keep my skin as a payment. Nah, that's dumb. But he'll kill me anyway. Oh, crap.
So immersed was he in the fatalistic thoughts invading his head that his brain, which was, by all accounts, mostly made up of sawdust, didn't pay any mind to the path his hooves were following. I love him. And so, as is to be expected from someone not heeding the wise advice, look where you're going, he soon met the first obstacle in his way to the plaza. A wall. Ader, and I could be wrong the further I get into the game, but everything I know of him and have seen of him so far is big himbo energy.
Oh dear.
In any other place, That soft chuckle would have meant that Ader wouldn't have the benefit of living with his failures alone. In the slums, it would mean that he wouldn't have the benefit of living at all.
That was almost impressive. I truly thought that you were going to run straight through that wall for a moment.
I know this is. The voice got closer by the second, followed by a strangely harmonic tinkling. A melody that danced in his ears and paralyzed his mind, rendering him frozen in the spot at the thought of an incoming murderous lady. Ader shut his one remaining eye and held his breath deeply, knowing that it would be the last. Not dead yet. Still not dead. How come he was still alive? That's just rude. Between his blurry sight and the I am not familiar with that word. That's rare. Obfuscating darkness? Obfuscating? Obfuscating? Is that right? Huh. Ader could barely tell apart the silhouette standing right in front of him. He should have run and screamed and begged for his life. But instead, he hesitated long enough for a few stray sun rays to wander among the rundown houses, finally casting light upon his foe. I didn't know you were the narrator in this game too. I am for this playthrough. You can be the narrator too. Aww.
For your information, everyone already thinks that Rose are thick-skulled. We don't need another martyr for the cause.
Oh my god, I love that it's just labeled hottie. I don't know her very well yet, but she's... People who have played this game before it released on Steam, people love her. And she's a cutie. Ader's absolute lack of reaction made her mocking smile falter. To be fair, he had indeed left a sizable hole on the wall he just crashed against. But that was hardly the cause for his sudden drop in mental speed.
Are you okay?
Ader nodded, though he hadn't really heard the question. Sensing this, the mysterious lass extended a soft hand towards him in an amiable gesture. Oh guys, should I take her hand or play it cool? Do you know who plays her? I did up until 30 minutes ago. I don't believe that she's been in any, like, huge projects. I hope I'm not doing her a disservice. But most of the cast in here are largely unknown. Now. I mean, like, they're all crazy talented, so, I mean... Take her hand? Okay. I imagine you'll be hearing a lot of them more.
Those.
What or what?
I know they're short. Please don't stare.
Aww.
What kind of nonsense is that? I'd never seen hands like those before.
My hands? You like my hands?
Were you born with them? How much weight can you lift? Can you use tools at all? Or wear a shirt? What's wrong with your neck? Is that a hood or a scarf? I love the pattern, by the way.
Oh my god, she's really cute.
So?
I'm sorry, ma'am. What was the question?
You. What are you supposed to be?
Oh! Well, I'm just your run-of-the-mill prairie buck, ma'am. Just, you know, my mom gave me shovels for hands and a gourd for a neck. They're better for work in the fields.
Oh, come on. I want the actual story.
You want the boring bits? Okay. See, I used to be all big and strong. But then I come to the city and what do you know? Food ain't so easy to come by. I was so hungry that I'd even eat the rocks in the street.
What's the character's name? Oh, her name is Sep. S-E-P. I believe her voice actress's name is Melody. Oh man, my short-term memory is such crap. Melody! I was right! Melody moves. could be from an abridged series, and it's possible I'm gonna be so embarrassed if I come across someone and I'm like, they sound so familiar, but like I know that they haven't been in a major project, and like it turns out that I've been in a project with them before and forgot. That would be very classic me. That'd be so bad.
And I go to bed hungry one night, and another, and I keep on starving till I end up 2 meals short of turning into a walking pile of bones. Except for my hands. They just won't get. And they're for real heavy, let me tell you.
Aw.
So, that's the gist of it. Want to hear about my neck, too? Or my name, at least?
Smooth. The girl's eyes narrowed as she stared at Ader. He fixed his gaze on his hands, considering the strange path this conversation had taken.
So what you are saying is that you used to be plump?
Plump? Like a fruit? Well, I used to eat a bunch of fruit before I came down here last year, yeah.
Last year? Wait, how many eyes did you have then?
How many? 5, I think, but I lost the other 4. Just the one, ma'am.
I knew it. You've changed a lot, but it's you. You're that loudmouthed one-eyed chub.
Say what?
It's me. Don't tell me you've forgotten me.
Joff had warned Ader multiple times about the dangers of the "it's me" scams, but he was pretty tempted to fall into this one.
Ma'am, I don't know what you're selling, but I ain't gonna buy it.
Come on. Don't you remember that night on the bridge under Hirab's statue? With the guards laughing at you? You didn't hit your head that hard, did you?
I bet those guards had one haystack of a night laughing at some poor buck. I'm pretty darn sure that wasn't me. I'd remember you. Trust me.
Aw.
It was a pretty long time ago, but... Wait, I know.
She bit her lip just long enough to make Ader lose his need to understand the situation anymore.
Come closer.
Stop. Who, me? Almost asked the deer. Yet there was no one else hiding in the mists of dawn.
I said come closer.
All right then, here I come.
That's it? Come on, don't make me walk over there. Boop.
Guys, she booped my snoot.
That's close enough.
She slipped right under Ader's arm, uninvited, but not unwelcomed.
Now, if you could get on your knees, You know what? Maybe you should see a doctor after all.
I love his little mlem.
Joseph! There you are!
Ugh, give me a break.
In less than a blink, her smile was back on her face as she turned to face the voice in the distance. It was some other doe, in similarly flashy clothing, hurriedly stomping her way towards... Jessif, apparently?
You called?
We've been looking everywhere for you!
And so you found me. Congratulations. Now, if you don't mind...
Miss Rochelle's had us searching for hours! She wants you back immediately!
Oh, she sounds familiar, too. Help.
Well, I'm kind of busy, so... Would you be so kind to go tell her to find someone else to bother while I catch up with my friend here?
The fair's about to start! Head back already or you'll get us all in trouble!
The red-haired girl stood completely still. She held her breath for an instant.
I'm sorry. Was that an order?
What? Miss Rochelle said...
Say, do you know what happened to the last wench who had the gall to order me around?
Jessif's smile was still plastered on her face, but her eyes had narrowed down to a squint, sharpening her long eyelashes even further. If they had her name, I could tell you. I'm almost positive I have at least heard her somewhere before on the internet circle. I'm just really bad at names, guys.
I don't care to find out.
The doe looking for her stammered, color drained from her mane. After a few tense seconds, a pleased smile spread across Jessie's face.
Come now, honey. Don't make that face. I'm just joking here. I've got too much going on as it is to begin picking fights with my sisters. Don't you think?
Right.
Then that's settled. Let's go.
Jessie whipped her braid as she turned around sharply, making the choir of bells that hung from her hips announce her leave. I just noticed her cute little tail that flips back and forth. Ader had barely just a second to register what happened. He could swear something had moved in a corner, but he couldn't care less. The finest lass he'd laid eyes upon his whole life was about to disappear, and she seemed to have forgotten all about him. Facing the prospect of never seeing her again, he tried at the very least to catch up to introduce himself formally.
Wait,
Yes?
But as Ader was about to speak, he had the same feeling of missing something. And so, as his gaze drifted following her back once more, he noticed something else moving behind her derriere. Something long like a whip, ending on a red tuft of fur, which is adorable. Something that most definitely didn't look like a cervine tail. Confused, his eyes quickly traveled from the zone where her back lost its name to the top of her head. Praying, wishing, desperately hoping that he wouldn't find what he found sprouting from the top of her red head. Horns. Coiled, black barren horns, longer than his own rack. Rack. Ader had to hold back a yelp. He'd been so distracted by the rest of her features that... No way! I wasn't looking at her! Ader yelled internally. Beads of sweat began falling from his temples as his face became even more flustered. There's no way But as if meaning to aggravate his inner turmoil, Jessie smiled one last time with a mischievous glint in her eyes.
Don't worry. I'll see you around. Handsome.
Ader was so many things. He was goofy, he was loud, he had a smile that could light up a whole town, he was gigantic, and yet, if there was a thing he would never call himself, it was, no doubt, handsome. After all, a buck's worth may as well be as large as his horns are, and his were, well, tiny, almost childlike. So, that offhanded compliment, that mere insinuation that someone found him actually good-looking, made his heart flutter. And by flutter, I mean it may as well have, like, burst out of his chest right then. So, for just 1 second, he forgot that the lady in front of him was horned. For a moment, he forgot all the things that he'd heard about gazelles. His face turned red, his jaw came loose, but had he been able to articulate, he'd have found he'd completely forgotten the ability to talk. He still knew how to do one thing, though. Ader.exe has stopped working. This time, his shame was stronger than the wall.
Wait, what? Stop right there. What was that last bit?
The bit about the wall or the Oh, I see. Ruminants haven't always been so successful at living together as they are now. Wars, gods, horn shape, all the excuses to be different used to make a lot more sense to mortals back then.
No, I know that, but there's no way the knight would have thought something so awful.
Ader was a young, insecure stag in a time when every row felt the need to deny having a single drop of Baran blood in their veins. Why would he think any different?
Why wouldn't he? That's the point, isn't it? That he was different from the rest. How could he believe any of that crap?
How should I know? I never had anything against gazelles.
Sounds like you weren't a whole lot bothered by those who did, though.
You're right. I wasn't. I just thought that there always had to be someone to punch down on, and I spent all my energy just making sure that would never be me. That was the world as I saw it, and I never hoped it could be any different. Never wanted it to change. Ader, though, I think he never meant to do that to anyone. I think he just hadn't realized that there was more to the world than the fears that he'd been raised with. He had to butt heads with more than one type of wall in his life. I could be wrong, of course. His understanding could have just been yet another pretense, and he may have very well lied about wanting to fight with the rest of us until his very last breath. No, I'm sure he did grow to be a wise and kind man, Lynn. Much wiser and kinder than I ever was, at least. Neither of us would be here making excuses for that dumbass otherwise.
Well, I don't care about you, but he'd better rise up soon. I have high-quality standards for my ancestors.
I'm glad you do, kid. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. The sun was already up in the sky by the time Ader managed to remember that he was supposed to go to the bazaar.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to arrive so late. Please don't kill me.
But lo and behold, there was no one around.
What do you know? First again. I'm gonna have to ask for a raise at this rate.
Prepare to be disappointed, sweetie. Yeah, big oof.
Oh, hold up. Now it's time for that. Andy could get here at any... Boss! Ha! Gotcha. You're gonna end up giving someone a heart attack if you don't quit sneaking up on people like that, you know.
This is the dev, by the way, that does the sound effects for this character, who, I'm not positive, but I believe is mute.
Boss! Ha!
Oh, whoops, I went back by accident.
Right. Don't you think for a second I forgot I was supposed to prepare the stall. No, ma'am. But, you know, days are getting longer, and it's harder to sleep at night, and the streets are real crowded, and...
Aina's silent glare told him that she didn't believe a single word, but she didn't care enough to pry either.
Hey now! Quit giving me that look, missy. You got here late, too.
She pointed at her hair. Drops of silvery green water were dancing on her tips, painting the ground beneath them.
How is it my fault that you were busy dyeing your hair?
Oh. Leaving him with that perfectly valid question unanswered, she walked back to pick up a big bag that she'd left a few steps away. She lifted it up with a single hand and then headed towards the stall, closely followed by Ader. It was about time that they began working. Ader sounds like Hank from Vetcher Bros. Whoa! A little bit. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Oh, I love that. Man, I miss Venture Bros. A sudden thought popped into Ader's mind as he helped her set up their carpet.
So, how come the patron ain't here? It just gonna be the two of us today?
Aina simply shrugged. Yo, gotcha, what's up?
You won't tell your pa I got here late, right, boss?
She punched his arm with such strength that she almost made him fall sideways.
Ow! What did I... Oh, tail. Sorry, boss.
This little reminder was that a sensitive issue effectively killed the conversation. People from all over, oh god, no, Heirloom? Heirloom, I believe, is supposed to be. People from all over Heirloom began congregating in the bazaar, turning the walled plaza into a sea of spice, trinkets, and deer. The currents of that sea were still difficult to understand for Ader, who often found himself pushed to the ground in the busiest hours. Today would be especially lively. It was the beginning of the Dawson season. And so the festive... Oh god, fantasy words. The festive... Arcane? I'm trying to... The best, easiest way to say it. Arcane. I think Arcane. Anyways, had to make sure to bid a proper farewell to the rain cloud so they'd be back again by the end of it. A pleasant change from Ader's usual day-to-day. Working in Aina's forge under the continuous risk of suffering a heat stroke or third-degree burns. Or that's what he thought at first.
Welcome, welcome! We got the best prices in town! Come on and see what goods we offer!
There was no reaction whatsoever to his incessant yelling. Other than Aina snickering at him for trying so hard, that is.
Sure must be fun watching me break my back so your dad won't yell at us.
Oh, whoops, I skipped something. With a long sigh, Aina sat up and cast a tired glance over the carpet. She reached out and grabbed a small, shiny dagger. After checking its sharpness against her gloves, she began stabbing the air as possible customers approached the stall, attempting to showcase its intended use. Ader quickly put his hands over her shoulders, discreetly bringing her arms down.
You know what? Nah, take that back. There ain't no deer in the world that works harder than Aina of the Test. There just ain't. A hard worker like you deserves a good rest every once in a while, so just let me take care of this, boss.
Yes, sweetheart, I don't think that's the best way to get customers. He did his best attempt at a natural smile. Aina, who couldn't care less about any of this, simply shrugged and sat back, still wielding the knife. I want that as like an emote, just, I don't give a shit, Aina, with the thumbs up. She let her hand fall on one of the stones that paved the bazaar, and effortlessly tore it from the ground, deciding that it'd serve better as a sharpening tool.
You do you.
It was best to leave the issue alone. Ader had figured out quite some time ago that Aina was a creature of habit, and her habits included steadfastly refusing to put any effort into anything she didn't care about. But it never really bothered him at all. There was something fascinating about watching her get completely absorbed by whatever task she'd chosen to focus on, really. Ader never quite had that level of dedication to his craft, if he even had one. She could hammer tirelessly at a single hunk of metal for hours at a time, if the piece required so, all while judging Ader's every move with the same intensity. She was just as capable of sitting in a corner and glaring away the hours, while she sank deep into her own imagination. That's relatable, honestly. That's super relatable. Hyperfocus. It's a blessing and a curse. Hey Len, what's up? That's why he immediately knew something was off when she turned her face away from the dull knife of her own accord.
Huh? Well, what's wrong, boss? Wait, is that... Oh, no. Don't tell me he's coming this way!
Uh-oh. Aina wasn't going to tell him either way, but coming this way he was. He, being Ader's worst one-sided nightmare, the Almotakin of heirlooms, words. Taylor the Treasurer, I can say that without stumbling over my tongue. Dude, the two dudes behind him are super cool looking. Ader didn't even have time to yelp before the merchant among merchants politely announced his presence with an ancient greeting.
To Sakirmat, Miss Tess. I'm aware of how hectic the stall must be today, so I won't keep you long. I simply realized what a rare occasion it is to see you out in a crowd, so I thought I would take a moment to come and pay my respects to you. I hope you'll find some solace seeing a familiar face among the hustle and bustle.
Aina's eyes turned sharply away from Talid, closely accompanied by the tip of her knife. The stag's head followed the motion, only to find the eerily immobile set of deer waiting by his side.
I understand the apprehension you feel towards my company, but I'm afraid these are the only escorts I can ever trust with my back anymore. It's a dangerous world out there for people like me. Speaking of which, where's your father? Has he considered my latest proposal? Or will I have to send any more of my people his way?
Ader didn't miss the way Aina's fingers clenched around the dagger she was sharpening. Come up with an excuse or distract him. Ah, shit, well, guys, what should I do? It also occurs to me a bit that I think the game audio might be a little low. Yee! I keep forgetting I have ducking set up, so hang on, I fix. That's probably better. Dear, dear everywhere, man, I have a story to tell about my friend and a deer. Oh? I'm gonna, distract him.
Holy whores! Check out that buck's grapevine, boss! It's gotta be the biggest tree I've seen in my life from root to branchlets. Darn! That shrub's worth a fortune, I'm telling you. And trust me, I'm Chanturian born and raised. I know a thing or two about giant trees.
Aina didn't bat an eye at the interruption, while Taylor didn't even seem to hear him. Their bizarre staring contest remained strictly a two-person business. Ader never was one to give up so easily, however.
Yep, sure'd be nice if we could have a plant like that dragging our stuff around. Oh, it's a real shame the patron don't plan to bother showing up today. We could have tried to convince him together. Whoever buys that tree is going to show the world he's a deer with class. Ain't that right, ain't it?
Darn! Yeah, I love him. Ader needn't do anything more remarkable than put a hand on Aina's shoulder to make Talid shoot a look in his direction at last. It was but a brief glance. A glance best reserved for a slug crawling up your leg. A glance so scalding that it could make weeds wilt and crumble to dust within seconds. It kind of reminds me of the stare that Griffith gives you from Berserk. This was scary. The kind of glance that would normally precede the untimely death of an elongated yellow stag. As Ader's luck would have it, however, recognition set in the merchant's gaze at just the right moment. An unsettling half-smile formed in his face instead.
Ah, yes. I remember you now. Gyoff's little paramour.
It's Gyoff!
The oversized one-eyed fawn that wanted to be a knight. One Durandun for a full set of armor was what you requested, if I'm not mistaken.
Now I know it's Gyoff, until I forget that it's Gyoff. And I say Gyoff again, and then I'm like, wait, which one was it? What's the right one? I'll forget. But at least someone has reminded me.
Nope. Yep. Sir, I'd never dare say you're mistaken, but I doubly not dare say so when it comes to numbers. Imagine it. Poor farm boy could barely count trying to tell the Talid how money works. Darn, just thinking about it cracks me up. No, sir, I can't. I just can't believe for one moment the most famous loner in all the heirloom would be so kind to remember a dumb buck's dumb dreams, much less his ugly friggin' mug.
Aww.
Of course. I never forget a face, no matter how weathered or insignificant. That'd be remiss of me.
Talid nodded to himself thoughtfully, giving Ader a chance to discreetly crawl behind Aina. Despite the yellow stag's desperate inner pleas, Talid's eyes soon shifted towards him again.
Forgive my curiosity. I just can't help but wonder. How can a country boy with ambitions as great as yours go on living, day after day, knowing he can't aspire to more than his deplorable life?
First of all, rude. Second of all, rude. Wait, so my friend was driving home with another friend. He was driving alongside a truck. A deer popped out of the woods, got hit by the truck, rolled off the truck, hit my friend's car rear first. Now, let's just say my windshield broke and they got covered in deer poop. Oh no! And they had to drive home covered in it. I was about to be like, yeah, it's a real... The deer in North Carolina are tiny, but I'm from upstate New York initially, and the deer up there are massive and will kill you if they hit your car. So that, initially, that story, I was like, oh, this is a very familiar scenario to me. But the deer poop, I gotta say, that's one I haven't heard before. It was a white-tailed deer. Oh. Yeah, that's a new one.
Geoff can barely stay sober enough to feed himself. Never mind someone twice his size. It must be exhausting, staying alive.
My dude, you have no idea.
Oh, no, not at all. We manage. Sorta.
Taylid's soft features drew closer to Ader, but he barely even noticed. His only eye remained glued to Taylid's bodyguards.
It's not too late to consider the offer I made you back then. Let me put those deformed hands of yours to better use. I could give you the armor and the money to pay for it now, if you come work for me in the sewers. It won't be much worse than whatever the blind witch has you doing.
Okay, third of all, rude. And in conclusion, fucking rude.
That's mighty kind of you, Mr. Taylor, but it's poor manners to consider job offers in front of your own boss.
You make a fair point. Perhaps once I've torn that red scab off our guild's back then. Aina?
Taylid finished his very rude farewell with a bow. And then his bodyguards just like creepily kind of like shuffle along behind him. Fuck that guy. Ader's body had somehow contorted into being nearly indistinguishable from Aina's at that point. He needed a few more seconds to thaw out of that position.
Divine beeswax, I'm crawling out of my skin here. Who the hell you laughing at now, huh? That weirdo ain't no joke, you hear me? Last time I talked to him, it only took me shoving my hoof in my mouth half a second to swish, get a blade on my neck. And all I could see out of this eye was the creepy face of one of those golem...
Aina's ears perked up, though her gaze remained firmly locked on the blade.
No, yeah, of course you'd find it funny, Mistress Miss Tess. Paying my respect sure is a fancy way of saying he got the hots for you.
Ader barely avoided getting his liver punctured by an extremely flustered Aina. The hours passed by slowly and painfully, for they were completely ignored by any passerby. Well, actually, avoided rather than ignored. I wonder why. It was no surprise. The merchant, Ader's patron, and his mute daughter were two of the most despised people in the city. In spite of the incredible variety of antiquities and smithery that the merchant had for sale, no one had ever bought a single thing. And there were plenty of reasons for that. Even Ader had some serious doubts about working for an old Barham man whose fur was redder than blood, and an albino smith that insisted on dyeing her hair green. What's wrong with green? The fact that they worked independently from Heirloom's Trader Guild probably had something to do with it too. That was what my guess was, personally. Like they were just trying to strong-arm them out because they weren't part of the guild or whatever. In any case, it was well afternoon and they hadn't done anything but sit around the whole day. Ader pressed his lips together and began drumming his fingers against the floor. He looked askance at Aina, hoping his subtle call for attention had stirred her curiosity. But there was no answer. He'd have to be the one to actually break the silence. As usual. Yo, Mr. Q! Yeah, what's wrong with green? There's nothing wrong with green. Aina's hair is awesome.
So, hey, Aina. I bet you're still wondering just what in the world could make a hard-working buck like this one get here so late this morning.
Aina stopped hitting the rock with the blade. She barely moved her eyes towards Ader.
Well, buckle up, because there's a whole story there. This gotta stay between you and I. But, this morning...
Ooh, what do you guys think? Oh yeah, I forgot he had like that dream about a beast. But also I kind of just want to be like, I ran through a wall. These are all technically true. Yeah, I'm going for it. I did see a cute girl.
I ran through a wall. Good thing I have a thick skull, right?
Ader's attempt at starting some sort of one-way conversation fell short. Yet another awkward silence ensued. He feared in those long seconds of quietness that his words hadn't been heard, or worse yet, that they were, but he was to be ignored for all eternity. No, that couldn't be. He'd surely worried her too much.
Of course she'd be concerned. What kind of idiot runs straight into a wall and then brags about it?
I shouldn't have told her that, he lamented, thinking of ways to excuse himself for such a dumb thing.
Ow! What's that for? What? You get mad when I worry about you, and you get mad when you worry about me? That ain't fair, ma'am. I'm gonna get real mad at you next time you punch a wall. Real mad.
Worth it.
Please don't punch any more walls. Someone's gonna fix them holes for you.
Oh. The best way to define Ana's smile at that precise moment would be terrifyingly mean. While her bad temper was known and feared among the other merchants, it was unusual for her to be so acidic, especially towards Ader. Our dear boy couldn't help but notice this change. Our dear boy? And he wasn't going to keep it to himself, of course.
You're acting real ugly, boss.
The smile on her face vanished, replaced instead by a grimace. In response to this affirmation, Ana merely shifted her gaze back to the blade and resumed her task, pretending she hadn't heard him. But if Ader was known for one thing, it was his incessant need to stick his nose in everyone's business. I'm gonna let you guys pick. Do I get presumptuous, or do I get nosy? That was the short version of it. The actual story is like 20 minutes long. Oh, damn. Aw, you guys are sweet. What's wrong?
What's wrong, Ana?
A wrinkle formed over her nose as she focused on keeping calm, but Ader didn't get the message.
Come on, don't just keep everything to yourself. You know there ain't a single thing in the whole of Dakna you can't tell me.
No sooner he'd finished that sentence, Ana slammed the dagger she was sharpening against the ground, effectively sinking its tip into the ground.
Right. I know there ain't a single thing you can tell me either. This is one of them metaphors things Gaff loves. He says that a hushed mouth ain't got nothing on an open heart.
Ana got up all of a sudden, her face red in anger. Ader was preparing himself mentally for the beating that he expected would ensue, but instead she just plopped down on the ground, sitting with her back against his. Aww. Our dear Buck was puzzled, to say the least, but Ana didn't even make a sound. She just sat behind him, completely still and hidden from the public eye. Of course, the possibility of getting whacked in the head was now more real than ever, so Ader didn't even attempt to guess why she would ever do that.
What was the patron thinking?
Yours! It's Weeba! I have to lurk in a meeting, but hello. Hello, thank you for the resub! Have fun in your meeting, and enjoy your lurk.
Well, he probably didn't expect you two to play, hide and seek in the stall.
Oh my god. Ader and Aina immediately jumped away from each other, doing their best attempt at looking half professional. A thunderous laugh resonated over the ruckus of the bazaar.
Kilogram?
It's respectable Illigrab Bund Hollows to you, boy.
Oh my god.
But please, don't hold back on my account. I'll just look the other way.
I don't remember the cast list, but I love you, whoever's voice this is.
What?
And so appeared the man that was so red that it would seem he'd stolen all the color his daughter was lacking.
Patron!
Ah, so he gets the respectful treatment and I don't. I see how it is.
Chad Grinch. Excellent.
What's that salacious doll cop doing to my daughter now?
They're just strengthening their ties of friendship. Ah, or is this a budding love?
Oh my god. The merchant shook his cane, hitting, I think it's Illigrab? Is that what he said? I already forgot. Hitting Illigrab's twiggy leg with a loud thunk. The tree man just wiggled his mustache in response. Incredible.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Hold up. We weren't doing anything, patron. That's the problem, you cumberground! You lighter sack! You!
A coughing fit saved Adder from more old-timey insults. Old-timey but incredible insults, which she could barely comprehend. I promise I'll actually get a handle on how to pronounce all these names eventually, by the way. Once he'd recovered, the merchant pulled his bearded face next to Ader's, resting the tip of his cane on Ader's chest. He opened his toothless mouth slowly, his breath reeking more like bleach than liquor.
You haven't sold a single thing, have you?
Now, that's hardly their fault, Red.
I'm sure this Yaltson was just frolicking with my daughter as usual!
She's old enough to frolic as she pleases.
Yeah.
She hasn't even come of age yet!
Oh.
Of course she hasn't. There's no way for her to pass that right.
Of course there is! She just needs to open her mouth and stop being an idiot! The only idiot here is the one talking, patron. Aina's just mute. I wish that rub off on you!
Wow.
And maybe you'd learn to keep your mouth shut when adults are talking!
Aina.
But I did pass the coming of age right, sir! I got them adult horns and— Shut up! Don't you have anything to say about this, insolent child? Aina?
She walked away while you two were arguing.
Then why didn't you say so sooner, you overgrown sapling?
She looked like she needed it.
Illigrab, you're all right.
This is all your fault! And yours!
He stabbed Ader's nose with the tip of his finger.
What did I do?
Aggressive snoot booping.
That stupid child's been acting up since you first arrived!
First of all, rude.
Don't blame the poor boy. She's always had an attitude, and you know it.
I don't care! You two better go bugger off somewhere else! Or I swear to Arab that I'll hit you so hard that you'll be cropping out your teeth for a week!
Don't boop the snoot. Both Ader and Illigrab winced at that. Yeah, Whitebeard man sucks. Yeah, mega rude, my guy.
Now hold up, what?
Come on, Adder. Those two clearly want some alone time. And he'll have plenty of that when I leave him tied to the pyre next time I find a mob outside the shop.
Hey. Illigrab took Ader by the cape and lifted him off the ground as they walked away. It didn't take Illigrab long to notice Ader's usual reticence to speak.
Please, don't let Red's words affect you. He's, worse today. There's a storm coming from the west, and it's making us old people nervous.
No, the patron can preach and holler all he want. That don't bother me much. I mean, I don't cry anymore, at least.
Oh.
What he said to Aina, though, now that's going 2 paces past the league too far. So what if she can't swear the oath thing? The 3 won't get mad at her for being mute. And anyway, Aina don't got a pass no right. It ain't like she's getting married any day soon, right?
Right? And I mean, like, this fucked up. Why can't she just, like, write the oath? Why they gotta be ableist like that?
There. Got it all out of your system, boy?
You know what? All this stuff I'm saying means radish stew if I don't say it to her face. I gotta find her and make sure she's alright.
Illigrav didn't reply to that last affirmation. He placed Ader carefully on the ground and patted his cape to straighten it. What a good lad.
Well, in that case, I have to go back to keeping watch on the fair. So, this is where we say goodbye for today. Hey, I'll send someone to fetch you if I see her, okay?
Aww. Ader nodded resolutely. They waved goodbye to each other. And off he goes. And then the buck just stood there, wondering where to start looking, when the bazaar was half a league from gate to gate. Assuming that she was still in the bazaar at all.
Finally! I thought that fluffy bastard was never leaving.
Hey, you watch your mouth, Gyoff. Gyoff walked into the scene with a huge smile as the giant disappeared in the distance.
Afternoon, Mr. Bard.
Oh, lad, what a face.
Well, see, it's a long...
Ah, not a word. Thy mien speaketh clearer than thy tongue doeth. You're hungry.
Well,
Nah, I ain't in the mood to...
Well, I am. And I can't play a song when my stomach's growling a gazelle. Let's get some fried leaves.
Sorry, Bard, I ain't got time for any of that. I gotta go look for Aina. She just ran away angry as all get out, and I know darn well if I don't go check up on her, no one's gonna...
And I thought my songs were monothematic.
I just noticed someone's missing their eye. Yeah, Ader has one eye. Gyoff picked the strings of his ode. I know it's like a lute type instrument. It's ode though, right? Deep in thought, while Ader just paced around.
I know just the place to look.
Gyoff expertly snuck through the crowds, moving with such ease that he seemed to be little more than a shadow. Ader did his best to keep up with him, though that was hardly an easy task when he was 1 head taller than most other deer. The place Gyoff was looking for wasn't in the plaza itself, surrounded by stalls and all their merchandise, but rather on one of the many alleys that led to the bazaar. The crowd there was bustling with life as well, but not quite in the same manner. They were all rowdy deer, pushing and cheering. A Karnmai alley. Karnmai alleys were very different from the official sort. While killing was still very much frowned upon, there was no chivalry, no one set of rules. There was no way of knowing if the horns you were being gored with were hygienic. There were punches and kicks and all sorts of cheats. It was chaos. And for that and several other reasons, Aina was a huge fan of unofficial Karnmai. Sadly, as much as Ader jumped and pushed and yelled, she wasn't anywhere to be found. Yeah, Ode. Yeah, that's right. Actually, I think I've seen it spelled that way before rather than the way that it's spelled there, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm learning all kinds of new words tonight.
Alas, your fair maiden is in another alley.
Aw, man. Ader cast a long glance over the improvised battlegrounds, attempting to find her one last time.
That's too bad. Aina kicked some serious ass here.
This is what it's like to find someone in a convention hall.
Good thing she's not allowed to fight.
Aw.
Yeah, ain't no way they're gonna let a
A golem at her.
Dear Mario. Gyoff cast a very serious look in his direction. This wasn't the first time they'd had this discussion, and it wouldn't be the last.
How many times do I gotta tell you? Aina is not a golem, okay? She's a doe. It's just she's a bit of a weirdo.
Weirdo. Right. Tell me, Adder dearest, how many albino does can you name off the top of your head that can lift your heavy butt with just one hand?
Aina! Now let's go! We gotta find her!
It's just like, yeah, one.
Why do I even bother? Look at her. Golem or not, she's just a little cabbage head hiding in the crowds of this enormous city. She's damn good at hiding. And do you know why people hide?
'Cause they don't want to be found.
Gyoff extended his arms toward him in a dramatic manner, remarking how correct he was. He's like a D&D bard to a T.
You're not gonna find her. So why don't you go and use your thick skull for something useful? Like bringing us money so we can have dinner for once.
Gyoff pointed at the ring with his horns, and Ader knew better than to insist. With a heavy sigh, Ader nodded and began walking toward the ringmaster. Ode is pronounced ood. Oh, it's ood. My bad, but now I know, and knowing's half the battle.
Ah, wait, there's just one more thing.
Oh, you don't like Gyoff? I love his design. And I do love his voice actor, too. But I'm also like, everybody needs to stop picking on Aina.
Your bag of coins. You wouldn't want to lose what little we have to the hands of, say, some ill-intentioned crook, now would you?
Better the evil you know, right?
Gyoff extended his hand a bit too keenly, waiting for Ader to find the purse he usually hid within his sash. But...
Whoa, Bard. You're really gonna bust a gut laughing.
No.
Don't tell me you lost it.
Alrighty then.
Gyoff's scrawny body trembled like a branch about to snap off. Oh my god, that face!
Just go.
It was fucking Sep, wasn't it? Cause she was the one that like sidled up to get real close to us earlier.
All right. See that sweaty blackhead over there with the glistening fur and a charming smile? That's your foe. I'll go place my bet now. Are you feeling like a winner, ladder?
Charming? Oh, hold up! You mean the guy with them sharpened horns? Oh, darn, Bard. Your confidence in this poorly put together row is much appreciated, but as much as it hurts me, and it does, I think I'd rather go to bed hungry today.
What?
What if it hits me in the face? I don't want to go from Adder the one-eyed to Adder the no-eyed!
Then do enlighten me, my boy, on how in the name of the Hatsa do you pretend to become a knight if you can't handle even a rack pointed at you?
You know, he kind of has a point, a little bit, but also part of being a knight, you know, or at least part of being a good fighter is knowing your limitations and knowing your foe.
No wonder you can't even catch a hint, yellow piece of mangy venison. Sorry about that.
Listen, I get it. We're all hungry
What are
here.
you mumbling there, Gyoff?
I said I'm going to walk you through this. So oh help me three if you mess up.
Hey, let this dough win. And a girl, you sure eat your veggies. But all sticks on your forehead, I can't fool anyone.
Rude? You leave my horns alone.
If he's serious, this is gonna be easier than I'd thought.
Wait, there's a fight coming up! Holy horns, you have to tell me everything about it!
Oh my god, I love Lynn.
What kind of fighting style did Adder use? Was it antler rattling? He was a rattler, right? Did he prefer grappling or thrusting? Or was he more of a brawler instead? Swish, swish, bam! Pushing them right in the... Wait, did they even have any hand reps his size?
Yeah, people be super rude to poor Adder. And Ada. But I mean, I guess that's how stories like this start, you know? Down on your luck and all that. Give me a minute. I think I have to sneeze. What were any of those words? I don't really know the rules of card May. I just thought you had to hit people until they faded. Oh god, nothing I can come up with is gonna live up to her expectations. I can't deal with the pressure. You said you knew the night like the palm of your hand, didn't you? The new bearer of a tale of this magnitude should be able to pen a memorable fight scene all on their own if that's the case. Prove you're worthy of your name, Lynn.
Oh my god, you're right! Yes, this is my moment to shine! Leave it to me!
Yes, good. I shall go and leave it to you, so as to not influence you.
Let's see, what would the knight do? Right! He needed a few tips first. So Kyof took Adder aside and held him under his arm. He said, Adder, mine lad, 'tis a dangerous fight that awaits us. But if not in the strength of thy body, I believeth in the strength of thine heart. What would thee saith is the greatest feat a fighter should at each moment striveth for? Well, diggity yee-haw, Bard! What a tootin'!
She puts the thing over her eye.
Adder nodded thoughtfully to himself and then continued, I reckon that would be...
Honor. I love that she put the little thing over her eye.
Honor, as expected of a knight, dearest friend. Thou shalt be a rattler then. Ah, honorable style amongst honorable styles. The way our ancestors squareth, where two deer shalt proveth the might of their horns, rather than that of their mind.
That's the wrong island. It is the wrong land. You know, that reminds me of that scene in book 3 of Avatar where they watch like the play about themselves and someone's like, that's a great Zuko cosplay, but your eye patch is on the wrong side, and Zuko's just like, it's not on the wrong side.
But hoy, Bard! Yelped Adder. Mine horns are so teeny tiny. Kyof smirked. This is where your strength lieth, mine Adder. There is an advantage to short horns, thou see. No one shalt be able to lock their horns around yours to grapple thee to the ground.
Oh shit, she's kind of got a point though.
Your advice is ne'er unwise, Kyof. This is why I love you so daringly dearly. Adder, you beautiful boar. Everyone will find out if thou keepeth talking so loud. We mustn't.
Dude, does she ship them?
Let the whole world bask in the warmth of our passion.
Oh my god, she ships them.
Oh, Adder. Smooch, smooch.
Lynn, how's that scene going?
It's going.
Adder found himself alone at last, his dearest friend lost to the blurry tides of people surrounding the ring. Veins were starting to pop in his eye, making it even harder to see anything except the stag waiting in front of him. The deer with sharp horns smirked in his drunken haze, clearly looking down on Adder. It wasn't the first time someone pitied him and lived to regret it, as the drunkard would soon learn. The ringmaster looked left and right, making sure that both fighters knew what they were about to get into. He lifted his hand carefully as he stepped back, and then... Go! He screamed with a hand chop. Oh no, we're gonna fight now. We're fighting. I think we should charge. You guys think we should charge? I'm not very good at strategy. Usually, I would hang back. I'm not the one that usually goes, like, all in. But I feel like Adder would do it. This was no time to hesitate. Both Thoreau and his opponent rushed toward each other headfirst, heeding the scream of an ancient instinct that boiled in their bloods. Every voice in the alley fell silent once the deer slammed into each other, horns singing a threatening melody as they rattled fiercely in a never-ending battle for dominance. Adder ran through a wall. He can handle this. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Tension could be cut with a knife as their foreheads pushed against each other, but Gyop's advice proved unerring indeed. As much as he tried, the bigger deer could not intertwine his antlers around Adder's short, straight ones. Now what? The answer was clear, of course. A barrage of swift punches to the other deer's face would have sent his brain bouncing all over his skull. It would have been an obvious choice to anyone with deer-sized hands, to any honorless ruffian. Refusing to even consider such lowly tactics, our hero decided to take the moral high ground. And the physical, too. Tired of this pointless dance, the deer pushed Adder back with a swift head movement. Before Adder had the chance to react, his foe slammed his head just below the roe's chest, knocking all the air out of him and lifting him right off the ground with ease. Adder flailed his one free arm and legs most valiantly, but there was little he could do in such a compromising position, worn out as he was after trying to uphold his honor as a brave warrior with such a direct approach. Aw, man, I should have waited. And crack! I could not tell if it was the sound of Adder's neck or Adder's teeth as his face hit the ground at full speed, but little did that matter, for nothing lay more broken than his dreams. You're dead to everyone. I should have waited. I've got to try it again. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna be so sad if we do this and he still dies. But I could see it. The towering deer charged towards Adder like a runaway fur, horns lined and ready to slam into him with the full force of a Macadeer stampede. But the roe didn't move a single muscle. Adder merely waited, silencing all the voices that screamed at him to run and die. He didn't even assume the strep rider stance. He just waited, closing his eyes lest the sight of his oncoming enemy would betray his nerve. And when the time was right, do we grapple him? Adder opened his arms wide, mentally prepared and ready for the oncoming attack. Or so he thought. The deer slammed his head into Adder's stomach, nearly sending him to the ground with a single well-placed blow. But when all seemed lost, Adder managed to stand his ground, rapidly holding onto his foe's horns. Oh, whoops, I went back by accident. Adder's foe smirked. By the time our hero realized he had fallen into a trap, his whole body was hovering several arms over the ground. The carrot strikes back. What a foul move! Oh, whoops. I keep hitting the trigger button by accident. He would have turned Adder into a strainer if the yellow deer had a single bite's worth of meat in his body. If that had been the case to begin with, he would have been able to struggle against his enemy's hold as he flew across the sky. Or at least he would have been serene enough to come up with a different approach to the situation. But for now, face to the pavement it is. You're dead to me. Hang on. We gotta do this one more time. I gotta know what happens. I have a feeling if you just keep waiting, you just get bodied by not moving. Just wait. He realized that there was no such thing as a right time when one had absolutely no idea what to do next. Adder waited and waited, hoping that some divine inspiration would strike him. But the only thing that struck him was a brick wall, as he flew all the way across the alley and right past any chance of ever amounting to anything in his life. That's a mood. You're dead. Medically? Poor Adder. I'm so sad for him. After such a shameful defeat, the writer decided to take a page from Adder's book, literally. She began writing these words as a means to stall her own anxiety as she tried to understand how she managed to dig herself into such a narrative hole. She had certainly made a mistake somewhere. It was obvious to her prodigious mind that a boy so preoccupied with doing what was good and true and right would hardly be willing to do whatever it took to stand victorious and carve a space for himself in the annals of history. Our wonderful narrator started to realize that perhaps she had misunderstood something about Adder. For she could picture no scenario where a well-meaning and upstanding street fighter could ever get past his first night in Slander District. Oh, is that her full name? Wait, hold on. Omalindibili. Wow. Omalindibili of Azkadaz, a true descendant of the Night, decided to revisit her decision, thinking more deeply about what kinds of priorities her ancestor would have. You're welcome for butchering that name. Honor or victory? Well, gonna go for victory.
Ah, so thou art a brawler, dearest friend. I have indeed taughteth you well. There is no honor in death. If thine horns will not aid you in battle, use those hands the gods gave you. Pummel them to the ground. Thou shalt win this fight and prevail until the next.
Yeah!
But hoy, Bard! Yelped Adder. Mine hands are so bogglingly big! Yuff smirked. All the better to swat their faces away. If they trieth to thrust towards thee with their large horns, thou shalt only need to slap them into the ground. Stand victorious over those who would hurt you, mine Adder.
I mean, that is kind of something I think Goff would say. And then they smooched again, but quietly. Wait, do we get a different thing this time? Or do we go back? Maybe I should have chosen honor. Wait. Nope. Nope. My bad, my bad. Oh, wait. Never mind. It's different, it's different. Wait, hang on. But to reach the heights that awaited me to live another day, surviving isn't always the most honorable path. But it's the path we choose in this house! At first, there was silence. And then roaring laughter and throats and jeers. The drunk deer needed a moment to realize that they were being directed at him. He reached down to pull up his pants as best he could, hastily hurling Adder away after his dirty trick. Dude, I de-pantsed him. Still holding his foe's belt, Adder fell on his massive hands, barely managed to keep his head over the ground to avoid a shameful defeat after he'd already stooped so low. His foe was distracted. What now? Oh man, these are both valid options now. We could taunt him and he could run away crying. Or we could try to roundhouse kick him while he's vulnerable. I could see a scenario where these both work. Oh man. I really want to see Adder do a flying roundhouse kick. Okay. Your wish is my command. Emboldened by his spectacular success, Adder lowered his body over his hands like a spring and launched himself into a flying kick! And promptly fell on the ground face first, breaking his snout on the pavement, because this is like that kind of story, Lynn. Sheesh, fine. I love this. Well aware of the direness of his situation and the nullness of his pride, Adder decided that if he had nothing to lose anymore, he might as well go down in flames. Our protagonist called out to his opponent, loudly mocking him as he jumped from hand to hand, making a fool of both. The drunk deer turned around, red in shame and fury. He swore, enraged, and charged towards Adder once more, overlooking the tiny little fact that his pants were still down. The whole alley watched in silence as Adder's foe fell obstreperously. That's been a while. I know that word, but it's been a long time. To the ground. Butt out and everything. Yo, his butt's out. Our protagonist stared blankly ahead as he got up, his expression as unreadable as that of the public. It was pretty clear that this was a victory of sorts. Yeah. But no one was saying anything. After a few uncomfortable harumphs, the ringmaster scratched the back of his head, looked around vehemently, and then proceeded to kindly pull up the drunkard's pants before screaming, "Down!" And so, Adder emerged victorious, winning the fight on his own terms. Questionable and messy as they may be, and living to see another day. We did it, y'all. Wait, so he wins?
Of course he wins. He's the knight, you doof.
Right. Never mind then. Well done, Lynn.
I'm pretty great, yes.
I love her. Now, what's this torn page you're trying to hide behind your back?
Wait,
don't! So anyway...
Oh, I can't believe it! Still alive and kicking! Come on, show me the money, Bard! I want to bite every single coin!
It was her smut. It was smut that she wrote on the page. Also, I still don't know what biting down on coins is supposed to do, by the way. Like, I know that's a really common thing that like, ye old ignorant people did, to be like, is it real gold? But like, how do you know that it tastes like real gold?
I completely forgot to place the bet.
Yoff. Dude. You had one job. Yoff covered his face with his hands, making some sort of unintelligible, stupid noise that can only be described as the very sound of anguish.
Hey, Big Ed, I want to learn some tips too. I'll buy you dinner.
I'll take it.
Hey now, sir. You really think you're gonna steal my manager away, so...
Yoff shut Adder's snout with one hand. I think it's more to check the consistency of the metal, no denting or bending. Oh, so if it's made of like a really cheap metal or something, like a softer metal, then if you bit into it, it would have some give. I see, I see.
My dear boy, you sure gave it all today, so why don't you go and enjoy what's left of the fair? I have a gig in the tavern later. Money, yes. Don't expect me tonight.
Cool. Yo, party at Adder's place, guys. And maybe get lead poisoning in the process. Yeah, no, that's fair. Those are the risks. And with that, Gyoff hurriedly shooed a very confused Adder away. Our protagonist wandered back towards the increasingly empty and silent plaza, unsure of where he was headed next. His victory had been but a brief rush against mediocrity, and now that he was alone, his mind sought the comfort of a familiar place. A seething pit in his chest. And we still need to find Aina. No, he had no business there. Adder had spent enough nights hungry and alone to learn to eat his emotions for dinner. But still, his stomach protested, demanding to know when their next real meal would arrive. He could only walk a little farther to chase the thoughts away. Bro, I miss chocolate coins too. No matter how resilient he was, he would eventually get tired and stagger his way back home. Fall asleep in his little corner, dream a sleepless dream, and wake up to a drunk Yoff crashing in. He'd head off to work, and Aina would get him some food. That's right. He held no doubt in his heart that his boss would come back. What had he made such a fuss for? Aina had never missed a single day of work in the whole year he'd been working for her. And anyway, she was way stronger than him. What could he do? He had no reason to say grand words or worry like he did. He never had. Sparse groups of citizens and visitors all around him still celebrated this blessed day. Dances and melodies and pastries. Drifter from down yonder the steps would never be able to take a part in. Yes! Oh, Mr. Q! Thank you for gifting a sub to Nerd. Enjoy the emotes. I still love them. I think we have an emote slot that we need to fill. Still, but enjoy them. Do they still make chocolate oranges? Oh my god, I remember those! Those were the shit during Christmas time. Though my favorite candies were those ones that were like... They were a hard candy, and they were like... oval shaped, I guess, but they were wrapped in this wrapping that had like a strawberry print on it. You know what I mean? Like strawberries with the little seeds on it or whatever. So they looked a little bit like strawberries, but not really. Yeah, strawberry bonbons. Fun fact, when I was a small child, I assaulted one of my distant cousins because I had fairly won a candy cane tube full of those things, and they were my favorites. And then there's some trickery. The kid like cheated it from me. Like they stole my victory and they took it from me, so I beat the crap out of them, and I don't regret it at all. Those things were delicious. I think I like really hurt them too, but like, man, I would do it again right now for one of those candies. They're so good. I love strawberry bonbons. Anyways, this was just another empty day in the life of Addersend of, is it, oh, I know how to say this. Grafaz? I should know. I know it's Addersend, son of Grafaz, I think. An abrupt lapse of lucidity made Adder turn his head away from his hooves at last. Wow, this is a mood. His ears perked up and his fur stood on end as he tried to make sense of the careless trip he'd just taken. Do y'all ever do this? I do this all the time. I'll be walking and I'll just be lost in thought and I don't know, I'll be thinking about stuff and then suddenly I'll be like, where am I? I actually don't know how I got here. The music was deafening all around him. The crowd, untraversable. He didn't know how far he'd walked or how he'd managed to make some space for himself. But it was obvious now that he had stumbled onto some kind of performance. A stage where the whole city would be looking. Wow, what a dream. But a remote voice in the back of his thoughts told him that he didn't have time to find out what kind of show could attract such a crowd. That was not where he was supposed to be. Yo, Fox! Thanks for the host, Fox! Fox, I love you. How are you? There were those little Santa-shaped chocolates with filling. Yo, those were dope too. Oh, I love those. You can get strawberry bonbons, like a 5-pound bag of them for 20 bucks. Yo, if only 5-year-old me would have known that, I wouldn't have savaged that kid. He knew his gut hadn't been lying to him when he caught sight of a small, flickering light coming from a discreet tent around which the crowd seemed to be oddly absent. His eye wouldn't budge away from that curious flame shining in the dark. He sensed its offer, warm and loud. Adder didn't even consider for 1 second that he may have been too hungry to think straight. Mood. He ignored all the warnings common sense would have taught him and marched straight into the tent. I'm telling you, man, Adder, pure himbo energy. Congratulations, Kemerald, on being the whole being in a video game thing. Oh, thank you! I've said it before, by the way, to anybody expecting. I am not in chapter 1 or 2, so it'll be quite a while in this playthrough before I even show up. Also, I'm excited. I've only seen rough sketches of my character, so I'm very excited to get to that point. But it's gonna be a while. And I'm not, people have asked me several times now, like, the name of the character, and I think I'm kind of keeping it on the down low because it's a little bit of a spoiler. So I think I'm gonna keep it at that for now. I'm gonna be all mysterious about it. Dusk was still a ways off, but it may as well have been midnight inside. Adder combed the darkness desperately, startled by the sudden change in illumination. Sweet, frightful clarity once more. What in the name of the Hutsa was I thinking? He pondered in the breathless silence as his mind started conjuring bandits, assassins, and monsters, ready to tear his cape into pieces and fashion toothpicks out of his horns for having been so reckless. But he didn't get to fret long, as his fears were interrupted by the birth of a flame in the corner of his sight. Its flare grew with unmeasured force, blinding him for a moment. He struggled to regain his vision, fearing those foes that only lived in his mind. Foes he wouldn't face today either. Hello? Bathing in the light of an orb that was filled with fire, shaded in ways that made no sense whatsoever, awaited a feminine silhouette. A very feminine silhouette, is it, Sep? Hello. Well, Jessif. I'm pretty sure that her real name is Sep, though. But maybe that's a spoiler. I don't know. We'll just call her Jessif for now. Of course it was her.
Yeah, it's not a living.
And all of a sudden, Adder wished he'd found a bandit instead. Damn that veil, though. At least he would have known where to look then. He tried to fix his gaze on her eyes, shining above a thin pink veil that covered most of her face, but that was in vain. The sequins that hung from her neck reflected the light all over the room, dragging Adder's attention right back to them and the scarf that covered the bare minimum. I have 1,000 words to call the woman in front of him, and none of them are good, so let's just say what she was wearing would be inappropriate now, let alone then.
Don't just stand there. Take a seat.
Damn, but like, I don't know if this is like other visual novels where you can kind of like click the text box away so I can like get a better look at the whole character portrait, because like, dag.
I don't know, I've been sitting on my tail all day, and I got places to go, and I don't usually share tents with ladies, and...
The hips, I'm so distracted, the hips. Damn, she thick. I love it. Judging by her glare, she wasn't going to take no for an answer. Oh yeah, now you can see. Oh, damn. Adder, are you alright?
What am I saying? It'd have been mighty ugly of me to reject an invitation.
Adder did as asked and sat down on one of the many pillows laying around. Yo, Kafka, what up? Kafka, you're just in time. Check this fucking shit out. How are you? Listen, she's real fucking cute. And I love the jewelry on her horns. Look! Oh! Pretending to be crazy, escaping, begging the gods for mercy, breaking down and claiming that he wasn't in fact a horn eater, that this is just a mistake and he shouldn't be there. Adder's mind was bustling with ways of getting out of that situation. If you Google Hayseed night art, about 9 out of 10 images are her, or at least include her. Yeah. That was the one thing I knew coming in, was that people love her, and I can see why. Also, her voice is great. So, of course, whenever his mind was busy, his mouth was free to speak as it pleased.
Hi.
He spoke with a voice more akin to that of a fawn whose antlers are just beginning to sprout than that of a fully grown deer. Guys, which one should I pick? She got the whole bakery. Yeah, It's just floofy. Ugh. I love her little tail. I don't remember if we've actually introduced ourselves before, or... I was streaming but Wi-Fi is shitty, so rebooting. Oh, I feel that. I'm Adder.
I'm Anderson, son of Gerfath, the buck who farms the highest hill in my village, Ravina Otis. So, here and there, just about everywhere, folks know me as Adder, of the Upper Field.
Now I know. I was right about how to pronounce this full title.
That's nice.
Ain't it? It better be, because it's a lie, ma'am. They call me Long Neck Short Horns, or Adder Shovel Hands, or sometimes even Adder Shoe Face.
Aww. A mocking chuckle stabbed Adder's heart. Feeling even more self-conscious than he thought he was capable of, he held onto his hooves and fixed his gaze on the ground, screaming inside as his face burned.
So it wasn't the contusion after all, huh? You're just like that.
Double dog dare me to doodle her on stream. I triple dog dare you to doodle her on stream.
Like what now?
Funny.
Funny? Me? Not one bit, ma'am. I ain't got a funny bone in my body. Doc and I ain't never seen worse jokes than Adder scenes. Hold up. Didn't that sound like a poem just now? Well, darn. A poem ain't nothing but a dull song, Mr. Bard always says so. I'd hate to bore a fine lady such as yourself, so I better get...
Bore me? Please. With hands like those, you wouldn't look out of place in a traveling circus.
Wow, rude!
Some lord's court, if you're any good at juggling.
Oh, it hurts my soul. Leave him alone. I want to protect him. I want to be like that meme. Fucking just pointing at her, just holding him.
In fact, I know a certain gazelle in dire need of entertainment. What do you say? One word from Jasif, and you will be working in a palace tonight.
Adder couldn't quite figure out if that was meant to be an insult or a compliment, and he was quick to decide it was better to work for someone that didn't talk than for someone that talked about herself in the third person.
I think I'm gonna pass for now, but I'll holler at you next time I'm fresh out of pride, ma'am.
Oh, Adder! Oh yeah, the tail swish is real good. A deep silence filled the tent. Adder cursed his luck and his good manners. He wanted to run away and hide, fearing that otherwise he'd commit a big mistake. The kind of mistake that would get him called a horn eater for the rest of his life. You know, is being called a horn eater such a bad thing, though? Is it?
Well then,
I don't know.
Sure nice to see you again, but
maybe I'm misunderstanding the implication there, but...
Would you like to know your fortune?
Adder turned on his heel, desperate to find out if her offer was indeed true. There was nothing that betrayed a lie in her words, nor in her eyes.
Whoa! You're one of those gazelle fortune tellers? For real?
Let's just say they looked rather... different back in Adder's town. It's probably better than being the floor eater he was a few renditions of the story so far. This is true.
Well, slap my head and call me silly. I got you pegged all wrong, man. Darn right I'd love to hear it. Oh, hold up. I lost my bag of coins. I ain't got a single dollar on me, so...
I knew it. I knew it. Something flew into the ground right beside Adder's foot.
My bag?
You dropped it right after you crashed the first time. I meant to give it back, but since you were so bent on running through that wall...
You didn't steal from it, did you?
Steal what? It's just filled with rivets.
Aha! That means you opened it!
So much for wanting to see you again. That was all. You can go now if you want.
Aw. A punch to the gut would have hurt Adder infinitely less than her words. What am I doing? He thought to himself, biting the inside of his cheek. No mere thief would have returned his bag. As sad as that was, no other person had ever gone so far for him. And so he sat down once more, looking at the finely yet scarcely dressed woman in front of him with a mix of embarrassment, naivety, and just plain fear.
I don't suppose you accept rivets as payment.
That would depend on what you're paying for.
Getting my fortune told?
Dude. She's into you.
Just keep them.
Jasif rested her arms over the crystal orb, leaning closer to Adder.
All right! Can you look into the ball thing and tell me how my ma and pa are doing? Did any of my little bros get married yet?
Oh, you have little brothers?
That's cute. But it's a reading glass, not a magic mirror.
Right. And how about the weather? Can you give them good harvests?
Take your prayers to the temple.
Oh, darn, that won't do either. Alrighty then, how about me? What do you see in this buck's future?
Your future? Why would you want to know anything about that? Life would be boring if you knew it waits around every corner. I'll read your past and justify your present.
That's fair.
But I already know those things.
I don't.
Her blue eyes spoke like an insinuating whisper. Her fingers walked over the cobblestone ground, headed towards Adder's own hands as her face got ever so close.
For example, we could talk about why you did what you did for me then, and figure out what I could do to return the favor now.
Dude! The sequins that hung from her sash rang as they hit the ground, reminding him once more of her less than modest clothing. But no, she was no doe.
I gotta insist, ma'am, that you definitely got the wrong bucket. But even if I ever did anything nice for you in my life, a simple thanks is more than enough payment.
Why is she suggestive? Why is she so suggestive? Because she totally has the hots for us.
I guess you could use a reminder too.
The soothsayer made no attempt to conceal her disappointment, much like no one ever made any attempt to explain to her what coming on too strong means. Yeah, she come on real strong. But still, Adder. With apparent tedium, she grabbed the crystal orb and put it right between her face and Adder's. This time, she had no more pretensions than merely watching him.
Oh fire, tell me the secrets in the... Yada yada, stuff in Bazaktet. I don't feel like switching languages now.
That's fair. Her complete lack of professionalism made Adder feel, for once, at ease. After all, what would he do if he was indeed in front of a Sephi, one of those heinous Baran wizards from far back in time? Cry? Beg? Try to escape? Wait, those were things he already thought of doing. As Adder was considering the subtle differences and the fears he felt when talking to a girl and imagining being burnt to a crisp by a witch, she watched him. And she kept watching. And then she watched some more. The gazelle lifted her head from behind the glass as she squinted her eyes into fine lines. Whatever she was looking for, she still haven't found what she's looking for. Oh shit, no, I'm gonna get copyright stricken. Oh man. She still dug behind the orb once more, hoping to reach some kind of conclusion. Please don't ban me, Twitch. Focused with such intensity that her eyebrows could have split her forehead in two, and she wouldn't have even noticed, Jasif pressed her mouth to one side, wiggled her nose, and opened her eyes so wide at him that Adder couldn't help but laugh.
Shush. It's easier with two.
She mumbled the last part to herself, but Adder was sure that she'd said eyes.
Oh, what's that? You ain't never done it with a one-eyed deer before?
Adder pressed his lips together like he wanted to make them disappear. Jasif merely rose an eyebrow. His accidental innuendo made him begin shaking from horns to hooves once more.
Screw this.
She pushed the orb away with an exasperated sigh. Before Adder knew what was going on, his face was in her hands, and her face was right in front of his.
I need to find out if it was you after all. Stay still.
A drum beat in his ears. That was Adder's heartbeat as she stared at him so intently. There was a lump in his throat. He did his best not to tremble. His eyes, began feeling heavy, though he tried to hold her gaze. She was muttering something, words about his past, but her voice became obscured by the noise of the bells, the crackling of the fire, the sound of her own eyelashes batting against each other.
It's really too sodding late to be dealing with pests like you. And yet, here we are, wasting my time and yours.
Hey! What's that supposed to...
Adder's complaint vanished at spear point. What? Oh no, it's the coppers. I think. 2 guards had replaced the gazelle, one old and complacent, and the other one young, eager, and inches away from stabbing his nose.
Just who do you think you are?
Who do you think I am?
That was Jasif's voice. But as much as he tried to find her, Adder couldn't see her. In fact, he couldn't even move at all.
What? Ugh, I won't fall for your bar and mind tricks, Gazelle. I don't care if you're Hayseed or Hayseed. Only nobles are allowed to walk the royal pathway. No exceptions!
Adder felt a lump in his throat as he unwillingly looked over the railings that he was leaning against.
I don't suppose you expect me to jump off the bridge.
The younger guard opened his mouth to reply, but his partner cut in line.
Can't you see that you're scaring her, you dimwit? Take a step back!
What? But she's trespassing.
The younger guard got smacked in the head for his efforts.
Settle down, boy! You forgot to clean your ears this morning or what? She said she's Hayseed. Hayseed! This girl's far more than nobility, see? She's a queen. The queen of the desert rose, no less. Now that's what I call a fancy title.
Call it whatever you please. It won't change the fact I am the one and only Jasif, and you are a dear with good taste. You must have heard my name in 100 whispers. So, just imagine how terribly worried Miss Rochelle will be if her favorite girl doesn't make it home before dawn.
She is indeed a queen. Agreed.
Liar! There's no way the Desert Rose would have someone like you! Your kin shouldn't even be outside after curfew!
My kin? You mean gazelles who could buy your whole street?
Damn.
So much for the open-minded youth. Forgive this fool, your majesty. He's so uptight I think he sat on his spear. I'm sure you know his kin. A fawn like him wouldn't know royalty if it spat in his face.
Damn.
He's got a point, though. Any gazelle could sneak up here and say she's a queen because she's the daughter of a goat with a bald spot on her head. You understand, right? We can't just take your word for it. Nothing personal, of course, it's just common sense. Here's a thought. Why don't you sway us with a little dance? I'm sure that Jasif would do anything for her subjects.
I don't appreciate this.
What are you saying, you numbskull? We're on duty, and she's not even a... Ugh, three's sake! We should just drag her to the dungeon and end this nonsense!
Is that... I think I know who that is.
Yeah, spare me the lecture, kid. Hey, do one of those bar and dance things. That'll shut him right up. You know, the one with the fire and the bells and the...
The older guard cupped his chest and pretended to dance as he cackled, much to the revulsion of literally everyone involved. Adder could feel the tip of his tongue scraping against his teeth. Far smaller and more well-aligned than he ever remembered them being. His patience was growing worryingly thin.
I could dance for you, if you don't mind having an early cremation.
Huh? Was that a threat just now?
Not at all. I'm just pointing out that I'm not dressed for the occasion. It would be a pity if your face was to catch fire and your skin burst into flames, turning your bones to charcoal inside your blazing corpse while your ashes moldered up here. Just because I didn't have a fireproof shirt.
Damn.
Right. Well, it doesn't look like you have any other way to prove your words, Your Majesty.
I suppose I don't. But I bet my good friend Illigrab could find a way to prove them for me.
Hey, we know that good lad.
And walk you all the way across the city on the off chance we find that fidget arse of a tree sitting at his desk? We don't get paid that much, little lady.
A victorious smile crossed Adder's face. An opening, at last.
Ah, I understand now. A discount isn't even remotely enough to cover the entrance cost of the Desert Rose on a poor, hard-working guard's salary. And that's not even adding the price of my performances.
The old guard's eyes shot open as he felt a few coins slipping into his hand.
Don't worry. I'm sure there's some places down the street that are better suited to your taste.
He remained transfixed by the money a moment longer, until something seemed to click in his head all of a sudden.
Who do you take me for, scamp? We are honor-bound city guards. We won't get buffed by the likes of you.
What? Come on! This was more than enough last time. Why isn't it working now?
The guards didn't react to that sentence at all. It was like they hadn't heard her, when Jasif's voice sounded loud and clear in Adder's ears. The thought passed as soon as it came. The quick, anxious looks the old guard was directing at his partner became the new focus of Adder's attention. I'm so tongue-tied right now. The moment they locked eyes, the answer he'd been looking for became evident.
Of course. I should have noticed sooner. He's a new recruit, isn't he? Look at him. So eager and uptight. So focused on proving his worth to the captain. So predictable. You couldn't possibly trust someone like him with a bribe. He's too different from your old partner. But you couldn't trust that one either, could you? No, he knew too much. And he wasn't half as jaded as you are. His heart wasn't really in it.
Damn.
I see. You had a feeling he would end up going after you. So, you sold him out first. That's why he's here.
Damn, let him live!
But you couldn't trust that one either.
What?
How did you...
What? So she's telling the truth! You take bribes?
Uh-oh, busted!
No, well, maybe if it's enough. I mean, come on! It's just a goddamned bridge. What's the matter if we let rich people in at this point? They're no different from nobles. But I swear, I'd never gotten money from this. No, I'd never even seen this. Gazelle?
The guard's face contorted into a deeply wrinkled scowl. He looked beyond confused, lost. The song was reaching its final notes.
Aw, looks like your friend has a bad case of guilty conscience. That's okay. I'm no one to judge. Just let me go this time. I promise I'll be a good girl and head straight home. You won't even know I've been here.
Adder started to walk, a little spring on his step, as something he barely recognized as his tail wagged behind him. He felt above the moon, completely drunk from this power trip. But he was far from safe still. A strong hand clasped Adder's wrist tightly. This told him all he needed to know. That this body wasn't his body, and this mind wasn't his mind.
But who else could it have been? You are the Jasif, aren't you? You really could buy this whole street if you wanted. It was you! It was you all along! What did you do to me?
I only gave you money.
You gave me cursed money! No! You cast a spell on me!
Bro.
What in the world are you rambling about now? You sound like a madman!
Yeah, that's right. I have gone mad. It's not my fault. I'm not really a crook. She's a Sephi. She must have charmed me to do all those bad things. We're on to you, witch. Confess!
Damn. The sad thing is that there are people that are really like this. Every last fiber of her body was screaming at her to run. Jasif knew each and every corner of the royal pathway. She could have just hidden somewhere or outran two guards wearing heavy armor. That was the correct option. It was obvious to her. But that was not the choice she made. She pulled close to him and moved a smirk towards his ear instead.
I wouldn't waste any magic on you.
There wasn't any trace of fear in Jasif's mind as the guard grabbed her collar and pushed her against the railing. Not a speckle of resignation. It wasn't bravery either. There was nothing but anticipation. Adder didn't know the name of the eerie warmth that was creeping onto her chest as he watched the tip of the spear turn toward him in slow motion. He had never felt anything quite so peaceful and thrilling before. But to her, this lost battle seemed to be worth as much as a victory. After all, she had been playing with fire her whole life. Getting burnt was an eventuality that she had been ready to accept for years. She was tired of making choices. Fractions of a second before the end of her life could be sentenced. A scream shook the night.
Get your mitts off her, you creep!
Yeah! Oh, look at how roly-poly he is! I love him. Everyone turned around to look at the idiot yelling all the way out down on the ground.
Think you can just bother her last because she looks good enough for second helpings and then dessert? Well, you can't, alright?
He's so... he ball. He round. He's soft. I love him.
That's radish stew, and you'd make your ma cry if they knew. Let her go!
Oh my god. Adder had most certainly gone crazy.
What the? Oh, get lost, Sanford! This is official city business! It's got nothing to do with you!
City business, my ass! You're holding a gal up against the wall! I ain't got nothing to do with it, but it's still got everything to do with me! If it's so official, I'm gonna scream till the whole city wakes up and sees this!
No, you're not! Do something, rookie! Get rid of that drunkard!
What, you want me to throw my spear at some poor horn-eater now?
Wow.
Who are you calling a horn-eater? Just hold up there!
Adder, the pudgy version of Adder that is, wasn't concerned with matters such as his complete lack of grace, agility, or strength. Moved by his sense of justice, he began climbing the column that led to the royal pathway. Of course, he never made it.
Hey! Are you still alive? Horn-eater!
Aw, poor kid. We can't just leave him to die all on his own. Guess he'll be jumping off the bridge yet, witch.
Puzzling as the scene was, Jasif realized that she didn't have another second to lose. With the guard's hand still firmly wrapped around her collar and pushing her back, Jasif threw all of her weight on one leg, using her tail as leverage to complete a practice spin that ended with her knee sinking deep between the deer's legs. Hell yeah. He immediately dropped to the ground, but it wasn't quite enough to knock him out.
You little...
Listen, you deserved it.
That's enough. Let's go.
But she kicked me. And she's a witch. She's...
I have no clue what this gazelle is or what she's not. But I can tell just fine what you are. I'm not leaving you another second with her. Get that old ass back to the barracks or I'm telling Illigrab what you just did!
It was the older guard's turn to go pale. He lowered his helmet and began limping in the other direction. The younger guard, however, stood in front of her a moment longer.
You, go home and don't let me catch you up here again.
That's my purse! I don't know you! Jasif only allowed herself to breathe easy again once both guards had disappeared from sight. Pride filled her lungs faster than air.
Good riddance.
She wasn't quite out of the woods yet, but she decided to savor this victory. A moment of peace, which Jasif took to look over the railings one last time. Her wannabe savior now lay unconscious on the ground after hitting his head during the fall. Oh. And in spite of how miserable the scene was, Adder could feel a smile forming on her face. He finally understood that, crazy or not, he was seeing what she was seeing, the way she saw it.
Did I scare him good?
You did, you perfectly round lad.
Huh? You're awake? How in the name of Oblivion can you be conscious after a fall like that? You must be at least 5 stories high. Are we even trying to... No. That doesn't matter now. Are you hurt? Should I call a doctor?
Are you alright, ma'am?
No. No, I'm not hurt. So, yes, that was nothing. I'm fine, thank you.
And that's all this buck needs to feel fit as a fiddle.
Aw.
What? No, I'm rather certain that's not how bodies work.
Oh, no, ma'am. You're thinking normal, dear. I'm something else entirely.
Is he bleeding? I think he's bleeding, y'all.
Drunk. Drunk is what you must be.
I sure hope not. It'd be a real shame if some barrel fever ruined the memory of your pretty face.
Aww.
It wouldn't make much of a difference either way.
What was that, ma'am?
Cad! You are a cad! Does this look like a good time to be flirting to you?
A distant yell bounced through the columns, nearly sending Jasif's heart straight out of her chest.
Don't know about flirting, but it sure looks like a good time to get walking.
Yeah, I think he's bleeding, guys.
Then get up and walk! I can't just leave you to your fate now!
No, you ain't. You ain't leaving no one, ma'am. Slum dwellers like me come a door a dozen. I'll just play dead for a while and see if I can spend the night in the morgue.
Oof. More patrols were surely drawing closer by the minute, demanding she made a choice pronto.
This doesn't end here, understood? I will make it up to you somehow, so don't you dare die until then. Promise you won't forget it.
Narrator, he forgot it.
Whoa, wait, hold up. Who am I supposed to look for? I didn't even catch your...
Neither Adder understood why she had chose to run then, but she ran. She ran before that pitiful buck lying on the ground could finish voicing his request, pretending she hadn't heard him. But the answer she didn't give to the question he couldn't ask lingered a little longer in the space between old hopes and delusions. A sight that Adder found too engrossing to realize he was being left behind. Now, the gazelle was far out of his reach, and with every step, he felt her slipping away from his grasp a little further. He tried to keep up, but his legs wouldn't respond if it wasn't to her command. He tried to breathe, but he wasn't the master of his own lungs. His sight went dark and his ears turned deaf, a violent torrent of foreign thoughts clobbering his brain and his mind as his mind dissolved back into the nether. And as suddenly as he'd left, he found himself, one-eyed, famished, and back in the tent. Indeed, this had to be him. The same gazelle was still breathing over his snout, blue eyes fixed on him with the intensity of a burning sun. But who cares about having a half-naked beauty all over their body? Not Adder anymore, no! A million questions filled his mind. Was that the real life? Was that just fantasy? God damn it, I'm gonna get so banned. Are there any more of these memories slipping through the many cracks of his flogged skull? Or had starvation finally started to take a toll upon his very brain? As was usually the case, however, his lips refused to wait for a finished script. They raced past Adder's mind, offering an answer to the only question that he had never even asked.
Sep?
Aha, her name is Sep, I was right. This word, so short and unassuming, seemed to awaken something in a girl that Adder was almost too dazed to recognize. He couldn't tell yet why her ears perked up or why his gaze was immediately drawn to her horns and the beautiful mass of red locks she was desperately pulling behind them. Disconcert washed away all conceit from her expression. It took away all the mesmerizing superiority from her eyes. Yes, she looked honestly and utterly tiny for a moment. Whoa, there's a raid happening. It's Color! Hi, Color! Thanks for the raid! How are you and how is your stream? Were you doodling? Oh no, they have AirPods in. Yo, can somebody give a shout out to Colors? Oh, I see Stupidly Kind in there. Hello. And Steel! Wow, hi, friends! And KK, hi! Yes, welcome to the Hayseed night. This game is delightful. It just came out today on Steam, for anyone who wants to check it out. All the characters are so cute, especially Adder, the main character. He's so adorable. He's like the king of himbos. We just did something where she, like, used witchcraft to, like, look back into our past where we had met before. and we are freaking the hell out now that we're back in the present. Yes, it came out today! It's very cool and good. Chance to hear more of Blessed Voice Watashi Machine? I am down. Yes. Well, I'm reading for the narrator, but the rest of the game is fully voiced. I do have a part in this, but it's like way later in the game. Yes, he's a super himbo. I love him.
Where did you hear that?
Where did I... Oh! Ma'am, you're okay! You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I heard you say it just now. But not now. It was a long time ago.
Precious baby.
I was under Hirup's statue. I mean, you were, but I was you and not me because I was trying to save you, but I fell on my face and those guards laughed at me and... just how the hell did I forget any of this? Why can't I remember?
You're a gaze reader.
What? Anger hit her like a wave as the shock disappeared. I don't know what that means.
Why didn't you say so? Get away from me!
No, wait! The fire in the orb began flickering erratically, casting disturbing shadows all over the tent.
Whoa, what's going on? What in the name of Atsa did I do now? Was I supposed to say something? Thank you. That the magic word?
Yeah, he's got big ol' hands. People make fun of him for it.
Do you seriously expect me to believe that you...
Hold on. Simp? It was Simp, wasn't it? Oh crap, I just went and cussed a lady out in Gazelle speak, didn't I?
She looked at him with skepticism, her eyes squinted with barely concealed anger. She was clearly sizing him up.
No. You really don't have a clue of what you just did, do you?
Ma'am, if I ever got a clue in my life, it wasn't today. I'm just glad you're all right and that guard is in the dungeon or dead or something.
The country accent from Adder. He's adorable, isn't he? I love him. Her expression relaxed just a little as she considered Adder's words. Our poor boy had more than enough trying to get some air into his lungs.
Then you're telling me that you're a natural gaze reader? Do you even understand what this means?
Do I have to say yes or no to get out of here alive?
Oh. A small chuckle erased all the tension from her face. Adder felt even more confused upon seeing this.
I was trying to read your gaze, but you read mine instead. It's called gaze because we invented it. So, it's true what they say about yellow deer. You must have Barhan blood.
Oh, so the weird past trippy thing that she just did to us, we accidentally did back without realizing it. Whoops! So she never told us her name. We weren't supposed to know her name, but because we accidentally read her, we figured out her name by accident. Oopsie poopsie. Yeah, I love his constant blem. He's always blemming. Adder would have normally disputed the last affirmation. Roe deer took pride in being quote-unquote real deer, no gazelle blood, not at all. Nope, not 100% real deer with does that don't have horns. But this was clearly not the moment nor the company to say that.
In Sirnar, please.
You read my mind.
Say what? I think I'm not the funny one here, Missy.
The gazelle seemed way too amused with this development.
No, it makes so much sense. I was wondering why you spent so much time looking at my face. Hear me out. I'm sure you've always been really good at getting people's feelings. But not smart enough to actually understand them.
First of all, rude. Wait, yeah.
You're like some kind of savant hick. That's hilarious.
First of all, rude. Yeah. A wrinkle formed over Adder's snout. That was quite enough. But also, I mean, it kind of makes sense because, like, our current boss is mute, and we kind of have, like, a really close relationship, and it kind of checks out.
My name is Adder, not Hick, Miss Sepp. Now why'd you go hiding such a cute little name, I wonder?
Her face went back to being little more than a pretension of grandeur. But she held the fire close to her. She didn't look all that different from a child hugging her blanket, soothed by the rhythm of the bells she wore. Adder couldn't help but notice that her alarming clothing didn't even bother him anymore. Damn, she looked good, though.
It's just a stupid nickname someone gave me. I hadn't heard it in years. They call me Jasif now.
Jasif. As that disgusting guard well said, that was no average name. And much less for a barman. Barhan, I can't speak tonight.
Ain't that something like Queen in Gazelle speak?
Bazaktet. And yes, that's a valid translation. Do you have any qualms about it?
No, I mean, I think you're a queen. Adder did not have any qualms per se, nor any remote idea what that word meant to begin with, but he certainly had no opinions on her supposed royalty. Oh man, guys, which one should I pick? I do declare, little lady, that there be the line. Oh man, oh man. I'm tempted to go with no, my queen. It makes me think of Golden Boy. No, my queen.
No, that's cool, Jasif. Did I say that right? I mean, if you need people calling you Queen to be happy,
I don't need to be called anything to...
Adder didn't mean anything with that, but somehow he'd managed to say something rude all the same. She didn't finish the sentence, deciding instead to just look away.
Are you all right?
She turned her face sharply towards his. There was something different in the way she was looking at him.
Adder, right?
That's me.
Oh. He took a hand to his heart and bowed his head as an instinctive greeting, accidentally clashing his horns against hers. He was surprised to find out that somehow that was a lot less gross than he thought it would be. And he didn't know how to feel about this appreciation.
Didn't you want to know your future? Then listen closely.
This is cute. She put her mouth right next to his ear and whispered,
You're coming with me tonight.
Where?
Adder!
You really are one of a kind.
Adder, please!
Come to the Desert Rose when the lights are all out. My room is on the first floor, but climbing there should be easier than climbing the bridge at the very least.
He's so cute and I love him. Hell yes, someone actually remembers Golden Boy. Study. I actually, somewhere around here, I have an autograph from Doug Smith. Somewhere.
Wait, climb? Room? There you go saying weird stuff again. I'm not a thief, and I'm not a hoarding...
Uh-oh. Without previous warning, the fire in the orb extinguished, leaving the room in total darkness. Adder didn't even have time to feel alarmed. He felt her hands on the back of his head, and the next he knew, her lips were over his. His mind shut up completely.
See you later.
Yes, ma'am. He couldn't even stop to consider how he felt about that before the kiss was over. With his mind still in a daze, he got up and turned around to leave. For a few moments, he stood frozen outside the tent, merely appreciating the cool dusk breeze on his fur. We still need to eat, though. Like, kisses are nice, but, like, we're starving, I think? By the time his thoughts began making any sense, he was already running home at full speed, crying, disconsolately about the realization that he was, in fact, a horn eater. My baby. Oh, by the way, this is being told in the future, retroactively. It's one of those scenarios. This cute little bean right here is Lynn, this cute little gremlin, and she's one of his descendants. Let's take a break here. I want to review what you've written so far.
What, you don't trust my writing skills?
No. Apparently, the history of Adder has been written so poorly that we have to revisit it. No, obviously.
Feels good to be loved.
It really does.
So, Adder was a gaze reader, just like me.
Yes.
And he really was intercepted in the end, which explains a few things.
A few.
If Adder and Geoff had an unlikely yet alluring, brief, intense romantic involvement, how would it have been called? Gitter? Adif?
Oh my god, she really ships them! She really ships Adder and his roommate. Pandering.
And I guess the only question I've got left is this going anywhere at all?
Huh? What do you mean? You've learned a lot about your beloved knight already, haven't you?
Yeah, sure. Don't take me wrong. I like your take on the story so far. I just can't figure out how any of this leads to him becoming a knight, much less the knight.
Patience, little Nashnab. All shall be revealed.
Like your major crush on Seth?
Who told you? What?
You can put all the words you want in Adder's mouth. I know an obsession when I see one.
Go get your eyes checked then.
I'm gonna go back and count how many times you've mentioned her butt.
No, I just... Wow, I've been called out. I don't think the game actually has mentioned it, but I certainly have. Me, Kemi, the streamer. I've been like, damn, those hips though. That's it. You're not hearing another word about her. It's calling you out, chat. I know you all were talking about it too.
What? Boo! This is a biased recount. I'm calling Radish Stew on this.
I never claimed to be objective, you tiny insurgent. It's my story, and I'll share it how I see fit.
Unbelievable! You are silencing the very truth you champion! Whatever shall become of Adder's story if you bereave us of the booty?
There are more characters in this story, you know.
Were you in love with them too?
Well... Maybe. But I can't talk about them yet.
Yes.
You know, looking back on it, there is someone I should have loved more. Honestly, she was a bit rough around the edges, and she wasn't always the easiest kid to be around. But the reward for persevering by her side was the unwavering loyalty of an iron-hearted friend.
Sounds like a nice girl.
Oh no, she was horrible, and I hate her.
What?
Chapter 2. Which I will save and we will get to next time. Ghost at the Feast. Wow, that actually wrapped up perfectly for bedtime. Oh my god. I knew I was gonna love this game.
Hey! If it ain't my lil boss! How you doing, ain't it? Having a mighty fine day?
Oh my god, look at Adder's titties. I'm just... Okay, wait, no, we have to save. Heyo. Okay, yeah. So I knew I was gonna love this game. Even though I haven't actually... This is my first time seeing the finished product. But everything that I saw and was able to read in development, I was like, I'm gonna love this game. And I have not been disappointed. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if you guys want to play any of it for yourselves, it's on Steam right now, the Hayseed Knight. And oh man, cherish Adder, y'all. Cherish him.